As soon as a person, when he dies, is no longer called by his name. He's a dead body.
Dead body. Have some higher purpose in your life, which gives you inner fulfillment. There's a word these days which is called FOMO, feeling of missing out. Love is where you do not ask anything in return.
Before we begin with our podcast, I want you to subscribe this channel because, as I said, we sit here with people who have lived their life certain way that can help you to bring in some wisdom, ideas, and motivation that can transform your life in a beautiful way. Thank you so much for subscribing. It means the world to me. I can't wait to be on this journey with you. Today, we have with us Dr. Hanish, a doctor by profession and been following his spiritual journey from last 16 years. This is one of my favorite podcasts because there's so much to learn. We talk about life, we talk about breakups, we talk about moving on, and we talk about Bhagavad Gita in so much depth. Let's dive deep into the conversation. Please let us know in the comment section your reviews on it. Thank you so much. So I ask this everyone, whoever I talk to, when you follow a specific routine, it is very difficult to get that motivation every day to get up in the morning,
Yeah.
to sit for 2 hours, do your rounds, and then read a book as well.
Yeah.
So for me, for my realizations, if I say, for me, consistency is the key. I keep consistency as the priority
Yes.
rather than motivation. Even if I don't feel like reading a book, even if I don't like doing the chanting or waking up in the morning, I still do it.
Okay.
So I think pretty much that works out for everyone. But if it works out for you as well, I'm not sure. If it does, then how do you remain constant, or how do you keep yourself motivated, every day waking up? Because you've been doing this for what, 15, 16 years, you said. So I'm pretty sure that you need motivation and that injection almost every week or every day to get up every day and do your routine. So what's your thing like?
I think the greatest motivation in life is answer to the question why. When you know why you are doing something, you do it with motivation. Mostly we lose motivation because we lose the why. We know what, we know how, we know when, but we forget the why. Since in the very beginning, I realized why I am doing this, and that why motivates me every day.
Okay.
So if anyone is not feeling motivated, reinvent your why. Write that why somewhere you can read. When I was in hostel, I used to write a lot of things on my walls. I have many mottos in my life. So when you know the why, you will remain motivated. Since in the very beginning, I was sure of why I want to do this, and that keeps me motivated. And moreover, my wife is also spiritual oriented. She keeps on infusing that why in me. Sometimes when I get little astray, she brings me back, and sometimes when she's demotivated, I motivate her. So that's a great help. So if you know the why, then you'll be consistent.
So you mentioned in last question that a few of your friends, they were like parted the way because your purpose was something else and their purpose was something else.
Yeah.
So anyone who's listening this, and especially for my purpose is to motivate youth, because what happens is when a youngster, especially like for my age, if I talk about, whoever comes to spirituality, they are scared because the friend circle is gone. Everyone start making fun of them. Then what are you doing?
True.
And apart from friends, family as well, because they get scared. If you're going to temple, you'll probably become a brahmachari. So they get scared.
Yeah.
So what do you suggest to the people out there, that is it okay to lose certain people? Because eventually, I think for my experience, if I say, my material friends, only very handful of them are actually good ones. And handful as in I say only 2 or 3. So what is your take on that?
Like you have a bag full of diamonds and even more broken glass pieces. It is always good to keep the diamonds and lose the broken glass pieces. One should not lament on that. Those who love you, they will stay with you, come what may. And those who do not love you or do not have faith in you, they will leave you anyhow. Even if you work the way you want to, or even if you don't, they will leave you someday. So it is better to leave them earlier. So I feel those who left me on this journey, they were supposed to leave me any day or anyways. Like many of my relatives are there who appreciate this and some don't, but mostly they do. Like there's a step, 4-step process. Like first they will laugh at you, then they will ridicule you, then they will appreciate you, and then they will follow you. Everyone has to go through this process. When you join, anyone who joins the path of spirituality, first people laugh at them. That this is just a fad, this is just a craze, it will pass away, you will come back the same way. They laugh. But then they see that you are keeping on following the same path. They ridicule you. Yo, you were smoking earlier, you were drinking earlier, now you are following spirituality. You are faking it. So they ridicule you. They try to bring you back. But if you cross this phase of ridicule, then they appreciate you. Oh, it's been so many years and he's following the same path. He is so sincere. He has changed so much. And when you cross this phase, they follow you. How are you so happy? What are you doing? We want to be happy like you. So when people will leave you in that phase of laugh and ridicule, but trust me, I am saying this from 16 years of experience, they will come back, they will appreciate you, they will follow you.
You mentioned that you want to awaken that love for God. And if I talk about myself, I've realized that at a very early age in life that the only real love is with God. Love is there. I think family is still there. Your parents are there. They love you. You get married, probably your wife love you as well. But the real love without anything in return, the selfless love, I think that's just with God.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
What is your definition of love? Like, how do you take that?
Love is where you do not ask anything in return. I read a small book in the very beginning here, which was named Misdirected Love.
Okay.
Written by Radhesham Prabhu. Any love which is there in this world is misdirected, except for the love with the God. Even the love that you have with your wife, with your children, if it is not connected with God, it is a misdirected love. Like you're driving a car, but you are misdirected. You will never reach your destination, right? You are eating, but the food is misdirected. It goes in ear or nose. It will not go to a digestive system. Similarly, you love your mother, you love your father, you love them a lot, but it is not directed well. Then what will happen? You will give love, and when you will not get love in return, you will be miserable. So, like I said, expectations are planned disappointments. Similarly, when you expect love back, it's a planned disappointment because someday that person is tended to disappoint you. Definitely. Even your mother, who is it is said that mother-son or mother-child relationship is the purest of all. Even that relation will disappoint you someday because it is conditional material world. What to say of wife or kids, you will definitely get disappointed because it is a basic nature. When we pay someone some money, we want something back, right? We give someone service, we want something back. Similarly, when you love someone, we want love back. But that may happen, that may not happen. So, misdirected love is the cause of all misery. So that is what I feel. Our love should be well directed. And the only way where you will never get disappointed is when you love God. In that way, do not get disappointed. Love your family. I'm not saying do not love your parents, do not love your family, do not love your children. Love them. But love them as part and parcel of God. Like I am a part and parcel of God. My wife is a part and parcel of God. We both are children of God, and we have to love each other in that way. Not in the forgetfulness of God.
That's so nice. Because I think people are so attached with their relations as well. Because they don't realize that it's also probably, there's a God inside them. Because I was just thinking randomly one day, I was just talking to one of my friends, and we were discussing that as soon as a person, when he dies, he's no longer called by his name. He's a dead body. And I've seen that so many times. Like, as soon as he dies, or he or she dies, it's a dead body.
True.
And that was the point when I started thinking that the person is right there. Same person who you loved. Same eyes, same ears, same nose. And you say he's gone. He or she is gone.
True.
Who's gone? He's there.
Yes.
It's lying right there. And something is gone. Then who is gone? So some soul or some energy or some superpower is there inside you which is gone, right?
True.
So how come people are so much absorbed in this material world and they don't realize that something is there inside us, in every one of us? And when that is gone, then actually God is gone. So that was my point of realization that, who am I? What if I die today? So there's another thing that's coming on the top of my head is that you've started your journey when you were really young.
Yeah.
And you have some realization when you were young. You started reading when you were young.
Yeah.
And as I said, my main focus is for all the youth listening out there,
Yeah.
to start something
Yes.
related to spirituality. Because
Yes.
I see a lot of youngsters, youth, who are getting into depression, anxieties, at the age of 15, 16. And I think
Yes.
15 to 25 is your golden period of life.
Yes.
At that time, you start to realize that this is what I want to do. And you enjoy your life, because that is the phase when you actually have to enjoy, because after that there comes a lot of responsibilities.
Yes, true.
What is your message to the youth listening out there? What do you want to tell them?
There's a word these days which is called FOMO, feeling of missing out.
Yeah.
The youth, I learned this last week in a seminar, that we have a feeling of missing out. That what if I'm not online for one day or maybe few hours? What am I missing? What if I break that, on Snapchat, what is it called? Streak. What if I break my streak? What will happen? Nothing is going to happen. If we lose our phone for one day, what is going to happen? The thing is, we do not have a higher purpose in our life. Like many youth these days engaged in online gaming and so many things which give you a feeling of fulfillment, that you are now one level up. Your machinery is now one level up. So that gives a feeling of fulfillment. And when that fulfillment does not come, we get depressed.
Yeah.
So message to youth is, have some higher purpose in your life which gives you inner fulfillment. This material fulfillment is very temporary, but the spiritual fulfillment, when you connect yourself to your higher self, the basic question that I have to ask myself is, what is my purpose of life? Is it just doing job, earning, 6 figures, or raising a good family like that, or something else? When we will ask that question, then our depression, our misery will go away. We will realize that I am meant for something greater than that. And also what we mentioned earlier, non-enviousness and non-egoism. When we relate ourselves with this body, I'll feel that I'm not looking good. Yeah, I got dumped. Yeah, I dumped her. Yeah, someone called a party, did not invite me. All these things are related to this body. But when I realize I'm not this body, I'm the soul, which has nothing to do with this body. Even I might have pimples, I might have wrinkles. It is only on this body. It is not on the soul. So the message to the youth is, stay focused, think of a higher purpose in your life, and do not be bewildered by this material world, which has just been created to put us in an illusion that you are this body. Because everyone in this world, every food outlet, every clothing outlet, every saloon, parlor, every gym, they just want to tell you, you are this body. Just the path of spirituality tells you are not this body. So we have to think of like that.
As you said that in this material world, you need reciprocation.
Yes.
You need reciprocation from your mother, from your parents, from your wife, children. Is there a reciprocation with God as well?
Yes, definitely. Definitely. Because God in Bhagavad Gita, 5th chapter, last shloka, he says that I am your greatest well-wisher. So when someone is a well-wisher, he will show. How a mother cares for her child, how a wife cares for her husband cares for a wife. Similarly, God also cares for his children. He reciprocates, and when we follow, we realize. Like just when we eat food, we do not have to ask anyone else that am I satisfied? You know it by yourself. Similarly, when you follow the path of spirituality, when we get the reciprocation. We realize how our life is changing towards good. So yes, reciprocations are there.
So what I've seen with myself is, whatever my journey has been, it's not been much, but what my realization is that if you grow spiritually, then you grow materially as well. So when you grow spiritually, you get that confidence, you get that boost of energy inside you, because obviously it is a part of your other activities that you do with spirituality as well, because you don't eat, you are a vegetarian, you don't eat non-veg, and then you don't drink, you don't smoke, you follow some specific principles. So that also gives you a little bit of boost in energy.
Definitely.
But when you follow a specific path, it gives you a boost of energy, and that helps me to be, on the top of any
That is
field
true.
I am working in,
Yes.
materially as well.
Yes.
So is that with you as well?
Yes, definitely. When you practice a path, the activities that you do repeatedly, consistently, they boost your determination. So, following a disciplined, regular path, having some do's and don'ts, they're very important. Because, like when you fly a kite, if you the thread, it seems to holding on the kite. If we feel that if the thread is cut, kite will fly away. But no, as soon as the thread is cut, the kite falls down. So do's and don'ts that we follow are like the thread only, which helps us fly higher and higher.
That's right. So you were introduced to Bhagavad Gita. That's what you were saying, right?
Yeah, the same month. It was in January 2008. It was my first year in MBBS.
Okay.
Just close to medical college, around 4-5 kilometers, there's a temple called Sandhya Mandir, very close by from here. So Sandhya Mandir is being maintained by medical college only.
Okay.
So for first year students, a program was introduced by ISKCON, and they gave a very introductory lecture, and our whole batch was called there. The lecture was given by Indranuj Prabhu,
Okay.
and there was also book distribution stall there. So they gave us very small spiritual talk and gave some prasad. And I was looking at the bookstall, and they said, ki, if you want to buy any book, buy this one. Imagine a 17, 18-year-old boy who has no, inclination towards spirituality, like reading philosophy. But I was introduced, that was the first book I bought after coming to my spiritual path. So I started reading that. So that way I was introduced to Bhagavad Gita, my spirituality. Slowly, I had many queries before coming to this path of spirituality. And when those queries got solved one by one, I got more and more convinced. Because when you follow something blindly, it does not persist for long. But when you take it scientifically, then you stay fixed.
Yeah, that's true. So when you read Bhagavad Gita, what was your first realization? Because people tend to start reading Bhagavad Gita, but I think after a certain point, they just feel like it's not something for them, or they just don't connect with them a lot. So, like, what was your journey like with Bhagavad Gita? Because I think Bhagavad Gita is one book which has all the answers, materially or spiritually, whatever you feel like,
Yes.
whatever way you want to go.
Yes.
So, how was your journey with that book? Because I think that book is something which is referred by, I think, almost everyone in the spiritual journey.
Yes.
Because it has all the answers.
Yes.
So it's a very important book.
When I started reading it first, I think it was just a shallow reading at first. Because being a medico by profession, we are used to sit for long hours and study for long hours. Even in +1, +2, like studying for 5 hours altogether or 6 hours is no big deal. We have to go that way. So I started reading it like that only. I finished my first reading in around 3 to 6 months. And I don't think I had many realizations. But some things I came to know, that Krishna is the supreme God, and how happiness and misery comes, how to deal about it. Many basic questions got solved in first reading. And at the same time, since I was attending lectures also, physical programs, so whatever queries I had, like some things which could not convince me, I used to ask other people. And when I got the answers, so I read it. Though I didn't have that much realization in the first reading, but when I read second time, third time, fourth time, every time things became more and more clear. So I loved reading it now. And initially I had the habit of reading from cover to cover. That is what I used to do. Any book I used to take, I started reading from first page to last page. But as you move on, when you read the book 4 times, 5 times, then you read it in phrases, like any topic that you want to learn. So journey with Bhagavad Gita was very beautiful. And I feel it had a great impact. Because usually people start with small books, then they read the bigger books. But since I had the gem in the first meeting, I got the best book in the first part. So that really helped me. And the direction which I wanted. Because before coming to ISKCON, I read many things. I read Osho, I read Ravi Shankar's Art of Living books also. And Bhagavad Gita, small Bhagavad Gitas by other authors also. So I had read 2 or 3 sects. I had little knowledge about Brahma Kumaris also. I did like spiritual shopping for 6 to 12 months. But when I got Bhagavad Gita as it is, I knew that I have got my direction. So after that, I did not read other sects, but I think it had a huge impact.
That's so
the journey
nice.
was beautiful.
Yeah, that's so nice. So now you said you've read it 3-4 times. Is there a...
No, I read it 4 times from cover to cover,
Yeah.
and I read in parts. So I think I have read it 12 to 13 times by now.
That's
Yes, because
amazing.
whenever I prepare any talk or lecture, I try to imbibe at least 1 or 2 shlokas from Bhagavad Gita. So, if like in that ways, I try whenever I get a chance.
Yeah. So my question was that you've read it so many times.
Yeah.
Is there any specific chapter, or is there any specific verse or any shlok
Yeah.
which really imprints in your heart and you resonate yourself with that thing? Is there any specific thing?
Yes. In Bhagavad Gita, the 9th chapter is my favorite chapter because it is called Param Guhya Gyan, the most confidential knowledge.
Okay.
Like when you buy something very expensive, you protect it. So 9th chapter is like protected by 8 chapters here and 9 chapters here. Okay. So it is the most protected chapter by Krishna. And there are many shlokas in the 9 chapters, like Ananyas Chintayanto Mam, where Krishna says, I'll provide everything. Krishna says, Man mana bhav mad bhakto, become my devotee, always remember me. And Krishna says, Idam tute gohetamam. This is the most confidential knowledge. And I'm telling you because you're non-envious.
Yeah.
In very beginning, Krishna tells, if you want to understand God, if you want to find true spiritual meaning to your life, you have to be non-envious, which most of us are not.
Yeah.
We are very envious of God. We are envious of each other. We are envious of nature. We are envious of
anything around us
who has something more to offer.
better than us. Yeah, definitely.
So in the very beginning of the most confidential knowledge, Krishna says, become non-envious. So that was something very important. And even few shlokas in 7th chapter, they are very beautiful. Like Krishna says, the greatest yogi in the world is who worships me. So that is a very beautiful shloka. But whenever I get time, I try to listen to 9th chapter again and again, as many times. Like I have heard it 1,000,000 times by now. I love to hear it anytime.
As you said, envy is one of the major thing that blocks you from your spirituality. I think for my realization, if I talk like what my journey has been, I think there's one more thing which I think I've experienced it, which I would like to add, is envy and ego.
Yeah.
So these are two things which according to my realization is two main roadblocks towards your spiritual journey, because ego is also one thing which a person, because if you really listen to Bhagavad Gita, if you really listen to a lot of lectures, if you understand what they're trying to say, the conclusion of it is that nothing is yours.
Yeah.
And if nothing is ours, then what are we egoistic about?
Yes.
Everything is owned by like for us it's Krishna, but for anyone who's listening to this, it's owned by some supreme personality who they follow.
True.
And if it is for someone, so we are just a caretaker of it.
As long as we relate ourselves with this body, with this material world, we'll not be able to grow spirituality.
Yeah.
First step to grow in spirituality is to realize that I am a soul which is residing in this body, which is temporarily utilizing the resources of this material world. But we don't belong here.
Yeah.
As long as we think we belong here, we'll not think about getting out of it. Like when you spend some time in jail as an inmate, as a prisoner, if you keep thinking that this is where I belong, you will never try to go out.
Yeah.
But when you realize that there's a beautiful world outside, and I'm here just because of some mistakes that I have committed, you try to rectify those. And when government sees that you are rectifying your mistakes, sometimes they let you out early also.
Yeah.
Right? So ego and envy, they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
If we are egoistic, we'll definitely get envious. And if we are envious, we'll definitely get egoistic.
Yeah, that's a beautiful connection. There's a beautiful quote which I've heard is like that butterfly are not able to see their own wings, so they don't know how beautiful they are.
Yeah.
So as you said, as long as you stay in that jail, you don't know there's a beautiful world outside.
Yes.
So that's how probably the material life is. The more you stay in it, you don't realize that who we are and how beautiful the life is once we realize that we are just a caretaker. That was just beautiful. So I would like to ask that you mentioned that during your preparation for medical exams and your practice, you used to go to practical classes for twice a week, read Bhagavad Gita,
After I got selected in MBBS.
After you got, yeah. So were you practicing at that point also?
I was studying my graduation.
Yeah.
At that time, I used to attend 2 classes a week.
Yeah. So that's what, during that period,
Yeah.
like I'm pretty sure that it's very difficult to crack a
Yes.
medical exam and
Yes.
to keep on going in that field.
True.
And along with that, he used to attend 2 classes a week and read Bhagavad Gita. So I really want to know, and I think audience also want to know, that how did you manage to go with it? Because I'm pretty sure it's really, medical is, for anyone who's listening, I would like them to know that medical, and especially GMC where you were selected, is one of the most difficult colleges to get into.
Yeah.
And it's most difficult study as well. So how are you managing all those things?
Yeah. Actually, what I believe and what I learned from experience, when you do positive things, when you give some time to spirituality, it gives more time back. Like when you do not devote time to spirituality, what you do partying, late night movies, web series, Netflix and all. You go out purposelessly because you have to do something, right? You cannot study 24 hours a day. You need a break. But break in the form of partying or going out with friends, it consumes more time.
Yeah.
Rather 2 classes a week, and that like maybe 2 hours a day, 4 hours a week is nothing. And when you do that seriously, you get more time to do everything, because Krishna says Kalu Asmi. Krishna in Bhagavad Gita says I am time. So when you give time to him, he expands the time. So you do not waste time on other things and you give time to spirituality. I realized when I followed this path of spirituality, my friend circle completely changed. Few of the boys who were very good friends in the beginning, they were no longer my friends in second year or third year, because they could see that his path is different from ours. Only those friends remain my friends who appreciated what I was doing. So indeed, it is very difficult, and maybe even that 4 hours are difficult to spare, but I feel Krishna gives blessings when you devote your time to God. God gives you time back and gives you the strength to carry on. So it is very possible, it is very feasible. If we think that by giving time to good things, we are wasting time, it is the biggest misconception or misnotion. Rather, when you give time in good things, you get even more time in your hand.
So we'll probably move to the last part of the talk. It's a rapid fire round. So I'll just say one word, and whatever comes to your mind, whatever instantly comes to your mind, you just need to say that. So the first one is your favorite book.
My favorite book is Bhagavad Gita as it is. And another book which is also very close to my favorite is Who Will Cry When You Die?
Okay.
By Robin Sharma.
Okay, I've never heard of that book.
The author of Monk Who Sold His Ferrari.
Yeah.
And he's also the author of 5 AM Club. There's a book called Who Will Cry When You Die?
Okay.
There are 101 small chapters, and all of those are very much implementable in your life.
Oh, okay.
So it was a life-changing book for me. And like Bhagavad Gita, I read it in 2008. It gave me direction. And this book I read in 2013-14. It also gave me many small implementable steps, what to do and what not to do.
That's nice.
So these 2 books are my favorite.
I can, feel that from the vibe, the takeaway message that I'm getting from you is you follow your life very closely to what Bhagavad Gita is saying. Because all the answers you've given to me is somehow or the other related to Bhagavad Gita.
Yes.
So that is what I'm that's a takeaway from me. And
Bhagavad Gita is like the manual of life.
Yeah.
Like we buy any electronic equipment, there's a manual with that. So Bhagavad Gita is the manual. If you do not follow the manual, the machine will break. So similar is with us.
That's so nice. So I think we were in the rapid fire round, but we
we'll continue with that.
Yeah.
Yes. Let's it be rapid fire.
So first one, we'll start from the first one. Favorite book?
Bhagavad Gita as it is.
Okay. Happiness?
Kirtan.
Krishna?
Our ultimate father.
Spirituality?
Having a higher purpose in your life.
Family?
Happiness. Joy.
Yeah.
Bliss.
That's about it. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
I'm pretty sure whoever is listening this, especially youth, will be very much, inspired with your talk, because you've been in that phase and you are young, still young.
Yes, still young.
So I'm pretty sure whoever is listening to this will be very inspired with your talk. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for inviting. It was a very nice session for me also, because when you share your realizations, you learn from them.
True.
Sometimes you should talk to yourself. So that is very helpful. I think today I talked with you also, and on many times I talked with myself also. So thank you for having me.